in this report.
Recent reports indicate an increase in the number of women in leadership positions and in higher decision-making positions. Women representation at all levels accounts for 45%. In the legislature, women representation is 34%. During the Women's Banquet and 90-day campaign, women in leadership encouraged young women to position themselves and also be change makers, irrespective of their status.
What we must realize is that until we have equal opportunities, we can never develop. That one is a fact. We can even take it at family level. If we have a family that only advances one gender and ignores the other, it can never develop at its full potential. The gender that is marginalized will always be a burden to the gender that's prioritized.
The Director Path Uganda, Dr. Mirembe, applauded government for providing space for education for all. She also commended the government for the strides in reducing maternal mortality and reducing the HIV prevalence among young women.
To the leadership of this country, especially His Excellency the President, for all that has been done in this space. But we also acknowledge all leaders at different stages for all things that you have done and kept us going.
The Vice Chairperson, Private Sector Foundation Uganda, Sarah Kajingo, noted that although women form the biggest percentage in the private sector, there are still limitations towards their performance, like heavy taxes and high collateral for loan acquisition.
The cost of capital in Uganda is still high. And while women are very entrepreneurial, access to finance, Right Honorable Prime Minister, is a challenge for women because we do not own collateral. The land titles, the homes are not owned by us. But even if we do, the interests are very high.
Prime Minister Robin Nabanja, who was the chief guest at the event, noted that the proportion of women who are in decision-making positions and also property owners has significantly increased compared to the past. She attributed the results to the government's agenda of women empowerment.
This year's 90-day women campaign, whose theme is women economic empowerment, financing, leadership, and health. This theme was brought to cabinet and we passed it because you really see that it is very important and it is truly relevant to the programs the NRM government under the wise leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has pursued over the years to facilitate women empowerment and gender equality.
Nabanja challenged women in decision-making positions to be champions in supporting young women to embrace leadership opportunities, irrespective of their status. Nonetheless, Prime Minister Robin Nabanja was dismayed by school dropout rates of girls, which caused setbacks towards women empowerment.
Despite all these achievements, we still have high dropout rates and low completion rates in schools. And to me, this has negatively impacted on our achievement as women. And so I request that fellow women who are here, let us fight to make sure that even the poor can go and attain education in government schools.
This year's Women's Banquet brought together women from all levels of leadership and was celebrated under the theme, Invest in Women and Accelerate Progress. Susan Nawanga, Andrew Sebira compiled this report.
The media has since remained a playground for the political turmoil, which has hit the National Unity Platform Party, resulting from allegations of dirty money. It is day 3 since NUP Party President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu issued a letter through the media that MP Mathias Mpuuga resigns from his position as Parliamentary Commissioner after Parliament recognized Mpuuga with 500 million shillings award for his service as the leader of opposition. Mpuuga on Saturday morning, while on a local radio station, revealed the Auditor General has the jurisdictions to question the funds out of Parliament. At the same time, Robert Kyagulanyi, through social media platforms, presented 10 reasons why the allegations pin MP Matthias Mpuuga, including how the Mityana Municipality MP Francis Zake was excluded from the opportunity. Daniel Mugoya reports.
Hardly a year after the Forum for Democratic Change political party experienced turmoil in relation to the allegations of dirty money, the National Unity Platform Party has joined the boat. In such scenarios, the media has remained a field where the aggrieved parties address the respective allegations.
We advised him to honorably do 3 things. First, return that money.
On Saturday morning, the Nyendo Mukungwe Masaka City MP Matthias Mpuuga arrived at one of the local radio stations in Kampala to respond to the allegations of corruption and abuse of office as slapped on him by the new party.
Nti tulina akaseera akamala okukakkanya ensonga zino ne tugenda mu maaso. Nze sifiirawo okubeera commissioner. Twali azaalibwa nga commissioner.
While on the radio talk show, Mpuuga started with explaining the powers of the Parliamentary Commission, which resolutions awarded him 500 million honoraria for his services during the reign as the leader of opposition.
Sente nzirinze. Nzirinze era kwote eno mbadde nize first installment.
Tonafuna.
Oyagala kumperekera kunkuweeko nawe oli Sebo ninze installment yange esooka kubanga nagwanira okuweebwa akasiima ako. Maybe ekiweebwa omuntu akasiimo nga ali ku level nga gye mbaddeko. Ekisooka bw'obeera lob. Kiki ekirala ky'osobola okukola? Onyuka n'ogenda mu kaduuka ako n'otunda.
During the 2-hour radio show, Matthias Mpuuga limited his concerns to what he described as insufficient guidance to the new party president on matters of parliament.
Ate nga bamwetodde abamu baasoma ku mateeka oba bagasoma kuyita buyisi bibuuzo, ekyo kyesimanyi. Buli bw'otunuulira banno n'obatya era okola ensobi, oyinza okulowooza nti Mpuuga ono ndowooza maybe wadde obiwulira obisoma wano. Mpuuga ono buli bw'atunula atunulanga yetunuzanga president agala president. Omulaba bayambala essuuti n'akuba n'engatto n'afaanana nga president. Era abatambuze ebyo ne bankubirayo n'ebipande ebitambula Mpuuga for president. Ndowooza obiraba. Ekisooka.
Robert Kyagulanyi alias Bobby Wine shared on social media what he called 10 reasons why the allegations pin MP Matthias Mpuuga. Bobby Wine, among others, asserted that the idea of to award the commissioners started months after MP Francis Zake in 2022 was relieved from the position of a backbench commissioner. But Mpuuga, while on the radio talk show, responded that the court process locked MP Zake from receiving a share.
Ensonga za Honorable Zake bwe zaatuuka zaasalawo nti ensonga ze zinaava mu kkooti ng'esazeewo eggoye kuwaaba kwewaaba Parliament n'ejulira kubanga omusango guli mu appeal. Gye ginaggwera commission tebana kyakola erina okumuliyirira nga commission omujjuvu. So n'olwekyo y'ensonga etegereka y'amangu nnyo okutegeera mu mateeka ne mu mbeera eza bulijjo.
MP Mpuuga, who is not worried of the outcomes of the allegations, reveals that only the Auditor General has the jurisdiction to question the finances of Parliament. Mpuuga says the directive that he resigns from the Parliamentary Commission is not backed by any law. After the radio show, I wanted to have more clarifications from Matthias Mpuuga about the matter, but in vain.
Yeah, Antonio, just a quick one for today. As far as whatever you've said on the radio station.
But you have listened in, haven't you?
That was Luganda session.
Friends, I'll address a press conference on Monday. So be patient with me. I'll speak to you. Thank you.
During my last interview with Tororo North County MP Geoffrey Ekanya, he asserted that such political confusions can be formally addressed without endangering the status of the political party.
People, you have a right to question, but you question using a system. If you have a disagreement with your dad, your mother, you sit down in a meeting. If your dad and your mother does not satisfy you, you call your uncles in a clan meeting. You don't go to other clans. By going to the media, we have now gone to other clans. Other clans will never solve our problem. They instead laugh at us. Say, look at these young boys who have failed to understand how to run their homes.
On Friday, the Director of Communications and Public Affairs at Parliament, Chris Obore, defended MP Mpuuga on what has been described as a bribe.
And I'm telling you here, where is the misconduct? First of all, it is not Honorable Mpuuga's payment. It was for parliamentary commissioners. 2, it was discussed in a meeting. Are bribes discussed through minutes? Tell me, is there any bribe where minutes are taken? The commission was exercising its what? Mandate. So I first remove the issue of the bribe. 2, forget the issue of it being Honorable Mpuuga's payment.
Daniel Mugoya, Juma Nsamba, UBC News.
Thank you very much, Daniel Mugoya, and that's a developing story we'll be sharing with you here on UBC News, so please keep updated. Now, over 1,000 women from the Anglican, Catholic and Orthodox churches have engaged in the Women Ecumenical Prayer Day that as the country awaits for International Women's Day celebrations. The chief guest, Margaret Rabushaija, advised women to be hard working and come up with developing projects to improve on their livelihoods. More details in this report.
The issues between the former Member of Parliament for Bukonzo County constituency, Kathinda Kaliboha, and the Diocese of Kasese have taken a new twist as the church's primary source of acquisition of the hostels denies involvement in the alleged sale of the Kathinda Boys and Girls Hostel. The hostels located along Chebambe Road in Kasese municipality have been under contention over ownership between Kathinda Kaliboha and the Diocese of Kasese since 2010. The Vicar General of the Diocese of Kasese, Reverend Father Landers Wembale, says the church acquired the properties through public auctioning on court orders purportedly executed by Chirunda Moses of Spearlink Auctioners. Over time, the process has made disagreements, with many thinking it's never happened. Chirunda Moses, who is the purported primary seller, on his appearance in Kasese for the first time, has distanced himself from the said auctioning process.
This property, these agreements were made with the intention to default the owner of the property. But I want to categorically deny that I've never sold the property here.
Chirunda is now threatening to sue the Diocese of Kasese for forgery and defamation.
But if you go around and try to say that Chirunda sold the property, then I wonder what kind of reverend he is.
According to police, statements from relevant parties have been recorded to help in the investigations.
Relevant statements have been recorded in relation to an execution that was carried out.
The hostels project was started in 1991 under Kithop project with an aim of providing a better learning environment for students from disadvantaged families.
We do beg your pardon. Now, over 1,000 women from the Anglican, Catholic and Orthodox churches have engaged in the Women Ecumenical Prayer Day as the country awaits International Women's Day celebrations. The chief guest, Margaret Rabushaija, advised women to be hardworking and come up with developing projects to improve on their livelihoods.
The prayers held at St. Stephen's Church of Uganda in Kampala Diocese were attended by women from the three denominations of Anglican, Catholic and Orthodox. The women prayed for leaders at all levels family, and for peace in the country and Gaza.
I pray that may our leaders in this government never be scared, my master, in whatever noise or voice, oh God, that comes from anywhere, my master.
Mukama Katonda waffe tubeere n'ekisa ekyawamu okubeera nga bamaama abajjudde tuleme kubanga tukaayana mu ddakiika emu nga tudduka mbiro okuva awaka abajjuze amagezi agava mu ggulu balowooze era bajjukire bye bateekwa okukola.
The guest preacher, Reverend Rebecca Nyegenye, called upon women to love and bear with each other in whatever challenging situations they go through.
We need to understand that the people are struggling. You cannot carry their burden. You don't go to them. If there is no love, then there is no way you're going to carry my burden.
In attendance was the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu.
Abakyala muli bantu bakulu kubanga ne mu Bible aboogera ku azaalibwa omukazi tebagamba nti buli azaalibwa omusajja abeera mulamu akaseera kati bagenda azaalibwa omukazi.
It doesn't even say those born of men. It says that one born of women stays for a short time.
Abakyala be bokka ababeera ne Yesu mu kubonaabona kwe ate ne mu kuzuukira be baaliweera.
It is women who stayed with Jesus during his suffering and during his resurrection.
Margaret Shaija, the workers' representative in Parliament, graced the occasion and urged women to work hard and to embrace projects aimed at improving their lives.
Esente zaffe ez'ekikazi zibeera ntono naye wayinza okubaawo kye tusobola okukola obaako n'ogamba nti at least awo bwe biba biganye nja kugira ki tunaalwananga naako mu ngeri yaffe ne tulaba nga tukabeezaawo ne saako ziyamba naye ekizibu kya saako nti oluusi ate abamu bannaffe tebabadde ba mazima.
Also to grace the occasion was the Bishop of Kampala Diocese, Right Reverend Hannington Mutebi.
For us to be able to bear with one another in love, the foundation is Jesus Christ himself. Bw'oba otegedde Kristo yakusobozesa okukola ebyo by'otasobola kukola. Naye bw'abulawo mu kibalo ky'obulamu bwo ebirala byonna birema.
The Women in Ecumenical Prayer Day is an annual event organized by women from the Anglican, Catholic and Orthodox denominations. Deborah Namamonde, Susan Nabugode, UBC News.
The NRM Vice Chairman, Alhaj Moses Chigongo, has urged party members in Bugisu sub-region to exploit peace and stability brought by the sitting government if they are to benefit from the government's programs intending to eradicate poverty among Ugandans. Alhaji Chigongo, who was represented by the former State Minister for Housing and Urban Development, Michael Werishe Gafabusa, highlighted socio-economic transformation as the NRM's key principle for transforming Ugandans through programs like the Parish Development Model, Emyoga, among others.
Viva! Viva! Right here to Uganda! Viva! 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 Right here to Uganda! Viva!
The day when the president saw in, that was 26th of January 1986, he said, this was not a mere change of guards, but a fundamental change in the history of our country. And we are enjoying the fundamental change in the history of our country today. The women have been empowered. The army is a disciplined force. Then we had only one radio station. We now have multiples of them.
Mbale District celebrated belated NRM liberation at a function held at Wumbobi Primary School playground. During the celebrations, the NRM Party Vice Chairman Alhaj Moses Kigongo, who was represented by former State Minister of Housing and Urban Development Michael Werishe Gafabusa, urged party members to use available peace and stability in the country to embrace development programs so as to improve their household incomes.
Not working for only the stomach. Whatever you do, you should aim at least having money in your pocket. Yes, that is actually telling you that you should work Whatever money comes, either through Yoga, through various programs of youth, women, and PDM eventually, the President and NRM leadership aims at ensuring that we get out of the poverty.
The party members in Bugisu sub-region have also been warned against disunity as this hinders development in many communities.
The very people who ushered many leaders into office again come back and begin fighting them. If you usher leaders into office and you fight them, it's like a house that fights against itself.
Embrace unity. Let's avoid personal fights.
Mbale is one of the outstanding performing districts in Parish Model Development Program with 99.9 disbursement.
Medical experts have advised the public to encourage regular screening and avoid lifestyles that may lead to hearing impairment. This was disclosed by the doctors and experts as the country counts down the World Hearing Day slated for Sunday, the 3rd of March.
According to the World Health Organization report, over 1.5 billion people have hearing impairment issues, and the situation will be worse in 10 years to come if the load cost to this problem is not addressed, as the world awaits to celebrate the World Hearing Day on Sunday, 3rd March. CKA IHK, in conjunction with Kampala Audiology Speech Center and Medill, have done cochlear implants to patients with hearing impairment at IHK Hospital.
It's important to screen, to find patients, to select them properly. Then, of course, the surgery is a main part, but also post-operative, the treatment is very important, the fitting and the follow-up.
Fiona Kamia, a specialist in audiology, highlighted some of the major causes of hearing loss and how it can be avoided.
Of course, newborn children, we need to be sure you're okay immediately you're born. So we'll do a screen for you immediately you're born. But when you talk about noise in particular, the susceptible people we see are those who are exposed to loud sound. By noise, we mean loud sounds. We are now seeing a lot of leisure use of noise, earphones and music, personal devices. So we do split. 1, screening. 2, legislation. Don't have a phone which doesn't tell you how many decibels you're being exposed.
Doctors say, though some causes of hearing loss can be addressed or avoided, reluctance to go for regular checkups has worsened the challenge at hand.
The journey starts, I give an example of a child who is born without hearing. Most parents will only realize this at 2 years, 3 years, that the child is not responding. That's a bit late. So right now we are encouraging that every child who is born, let their ear be screened and find out if there's hearing loss. It's a whole journey for these children. So we are happy that even with CCare here, we are now able to screen.
So far, HK Hospital, in conjunction with other hospitals, have done 34 successful cochlear implant surgeries.
CCare IMCs, that's 20 clinics distributed across the country that are able to ensure that we reach a very huge population and be able to avert most of this burden before we have to reach to the point of cochlear transplant.
With the need to tackle the challenge of hearing impairment at the earliest stage possible, IHK, in conjunction with the government, engaged in a pilot project to scan newborn babies in different hospitals across the country.
In 4 hospitals in the country, one in Mbarara Regional Hospital, one in Kawempe Women's Hospital, one in Masaka, another in Gulu, another one Gulu. So children who are actually born can be screened at birth, and then if the child if the child fails, they are followed up after 2 weeks, and by the time they are 6 months, we have a concrete diagnosis of what the child is having.
The World Hearing Day 2024 will be held another theme, changing mindsets. Let's make ear and hearing care a reality for all. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Education experts have advised government to establish centers to impart practical skills in graduates before they join the job market, and the private sector to also tell universities the type of skills they want. The lack of practical skills and required competences by graduates is being attributed to the education system that has continuously taught learners to memorize rather than to be hands-on. Farida Nafoka has the details.
United Nations member states in 2015 adopted 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Sustainable Development Goal 4 is quality education to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Experts define quality education as that which turns Ugandans into responsible citizens with values to live a wholesome life and also help sustain themselves and contribute to economic development. Government put in place universal primary education and universal secondary education to ensure access to education for all. However, despite the increase in enrollment, the dropout rates are very high.
You take it down a little bit to primary 1, to P7, you realize that enrollment is great. You are almost hitting 2 million of kids enrolling in primary 1. But by the time they reach primary 7, they have really significantly dropped to almost 800,000, meaning you have left behind over 1 million kids. We don't know where they are. Access, if we contextualize it that way, we are trying as a country. But are we talking about quality that is really complementing access? The answer is no.
To prepare Ugandans as much as possible to fit into the modern world, where life is largely defined in terms of technological advancement, artificial intelligence cannot be overlooked. Experts say children must be competent when it comes to digitalization, and university programs should be responsive to modern technology.
The thing we can do in our education to make it more qualitative, to make it more meaningful, is to make sure that our kids learn how to use artificial intelligence, such that once it becomes something more wiser, more intelligent than them, now they can take control of it. They can manage it. What will they do when they are given a job? Digitization, skills or competencies? Zero. Computer use? Zero. So now you can understand computer troubleshooting? Zero. Understanding maybe AI skills, how do you navigate artificial intelligence tools? Zero.
In Mulago could not communicate with a doctor in San Francisco. But today, because of advanced technology, a medical doctor in Mulago can perform a surgery on a patient consulting a doctor in San Francisco. Why? Technological advancement. Therefore, when you are in medical school, you have also to study advanced technology in order to be able to apply your medical knowledge properly. Today, you can do a lot of surgical operations without cutting the body of a person.
The UN measures quality education in terms of building relevant skills for financial success, and learners are always encouraged to embrace vocational training and education. The Vice-Chancellor, Victoria University, Dr. Lawrence Muganga, says hands-on skills produce job creators and that it's not about having a university degree, but sustainability.
Sometimes this education system has shaped us to think that if you don't go to university, you are not going to be successful. That is wrong. Not everyone should go to university. You can branch off at senior 4, pursue some kind of vocation, and become a creator, become an innovator, become a problem solver, and you change this country. You can branch off at senior 6, pursue something that your heart is passionate about, that you feel you can do, and then you're going to change society. And then you're going to employ people. You are going to become job creators. You don't have to go to university.
Education intends to impart hard skills like engineering, medicine and industrial chemistry to perform technical duties, and also soft skills like behavior, which the former Chancellor, Makerere University Professor Mondo Kagonyera, says have not worked well, citing the absenteeism of teachers and indiscipline in schools by students.
That many schools have been preparing young men and women to pass exams. That's all. To the extent that some of them have even helped the students to cheat in exams. In other words, to remain ignorant. Now, this is criminal. They should show the type of skills they want. Then, in my opinion, the government should provide the infrastructure for places where these skills are imparted to the students after they have acquired their degrees. You see, we must differentiate between education and training. Education, you impart knowledge. Training, you impart skills. We should have centers. Like URI, maybe Uganda Industrial Research Institute, centers where practical skills are imparted to these young men and women.
In terms of hard skills, employers from the private sector have complained about graduates from universities who lack practical skills. Dr. Muganga is of a view that Uganda's assessment promotes memorization instead of innovation.
You're promoting memorization. You're promoting recalling. You're promoting students to sit somewhere still and cannot consult, cannot solve any problem, cannot learn how to risk, cannot be creative, cannot be innovative, cannot be forward-thinking, just because they are timid, they are anxious, they are under pressure, they are depressed because of something we call an exam. That is not quality education. Quality education should be one that favors continuous assessment. Continuous assessment embedded within competence-based education, an education that endeavors to find the real child that sits in that child and extract them out.
Saying, you carry out your continuous assessment and let us begin and end there. Absolutely rubbish. Countries where continuous assessment is done effectively are countries where they have standards. And again, I'm going back to soft skills. When a teacher doesn't have the soft skills, he cannot teach the hard skills well, and he cannot continuously assess them. As far as I'm concerned, there must be examinations to keep those teachers who may not do their work in check. In fact, the time should come when teachers who don't produce good results are sanctioned.
Experts appreciate the ministry for putting in place a competency-based education model at lower secondary level that imparts students with 21st century skills. However, educationists recommend that this be implemented in an education system that prioritizes continuous assessment instead of national examinations. To Professor Mondo Kagonyera, examinations are a necessary evil and continuous assessment requires education with standards.
And I think even in O level, now 80% is always going to remain a national exam. So continuous assessment doesn't work like that. It is just that small magnitude that they are looking at, 20%, and then 80% is a national exam. So what we call continuous assessment is me to pose a question, for example, to my students studying geography, for example, or SST. And then I tell them, look, I want you to go out and research. right? And then they'll come to class one by one, or you can even make them a group, and then as a group they come and present to the teacher, and the teacher will award results according to now what the students have done. They have learned presentation skills, they have learned how to collaborate with others, they have learned research skills.
Continuous assessment can only be useful if there are standards. Today there are no standards at all. That's why you have a school where children will get grade 1, 100% of them will get grade 1 in their exams, and you get another school where you get 0 kids in grade 1. Now when you talk about continuous assessment, how about that guy who is not teaching his course? How do you evaluate the teacher that he himself taught the course that is supposed to teach?
As Minister of Education and Sports, a National Curriculum Development Center plan to review curricula, experts recommend creation of school districts with curriculum that emphasize issues of that region and community, in addition to national and world stages. Professor Mondo Kagonyera is of the view of having a curriculum that is geared to give essential knowledge to learners.
About creating school districts. And school districts, I mean, you get regions that have similar socio-economic needs and opportunities. And then you tailor their curriculum to that particular school district. And then assessment should be one that is relevant to that particular school district, because students are trying to understand their community. They are trying to solve problems within their community.
What should happen is we should teach our children what is essential. For example, if you are a kid in Kasese, why should you know about what is happening in the prairies of Canada, for example? Why should you know what is happening in the forests in the Amazon forest? You don't have to. You know what is relevant in order for you able to apply yourself to modern. There is so much.
Ugandans have been called upon to adapt education that is competitive in the world, and experts express optimism that the education system of Uganda can be revitalized with the present leadership of the Ministry of Education and Sports. I'm Nafka Farida, reporting.
Thank you very much, Farida. Yes, matters of education, very pertinent to this generation. In more details, Pastor Mpande David, the Ministerial Director of the Adventist Men Ministry in Central Uganda Conference, has rallied men across the nation to embrace their roles with purpose and vigor. Speaking at St. Paul Cathedral Conference, Pastor David emphasized the importance of men taking their responsibility within their families, communities, and the nation at large. Sudat Kaye reports.
Addressing a gathering of Adventist men from various backgrounds, Pastor David asserted that it is a responsibility as leaders to change the nation and build a better country. Pastor David noted the increasing presence of women in various spheres, including positions traditionally occupied by men.
And men, you are there crying for your position is being taken by women. And the thing is very simple. The places that you claiming to be yours, you are no longer do your part. That's why we are a sleeping giant. So we are calling each and every one of you to wake up and do his responsibility of being a volunteer to finish the work given to us by God.
He urged men to awake from complacency, embrace the responsibility given to them by God himself.
As you hear our theme, it says Adventist men, men of impact. So the intimidation or the solution or the outcome of this campaign that we are doing now, we want to see a changed man. We want to see men back into their positions. We want to see men acting as men. They have to prove in their families. They have to prove in the community they are living that they are real men who are standing for Jesus.
Pastor Daniel Senuni underscored the importance of men demonstrating courage and commitment in both their faith and daily endeavors. Plans to ensure accountability by monitoring men's engagement in church activities and their impact on family and community transformation were also highlighted.
Let us go back and start our work in our churches, in our families. Let us do our best. Let us also do the work of supporting this ministry as men. Men, where we have been, it has been a loss, but today we are now being charged and challenged to move onward.
Adventists were urged to take proactive steps in fulfilling their roles as providers, protectors, and spiritual leaders within their households.
You remember the apostles, all were men. When you come to early churches, all were men. But today they are behind, they are reluctant to do their work, and the world is going astray. So today we are bringing them back on board to do that evangelism in a style I've mentioned, corporate and open air. So
men across Uganda were urged to prioritize their families and actively participate in the spiritual and social transformation of their communities. Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the
Osmosis.
the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
The government of Uganda and the Uganda Bureau of Statistics is calling upon all stakeholders such as the chief administrative officers, city mayors, resident city commissioners, city clerks, city and division councillors, wards and LC chairpersons, as well as the residents and business communities to cooperate with the UBOS field teams as we embark on advanced preparations to conduct the National Population and Housing Census on the 10th of May 2024. The census will be a 10-day exercise to obtain statistical data and information that will be used for planning and policy formulation, including information on 1. How many we are, 2. Where we are, 3. How we are living, 4. What we own, and 5. Where we access services from. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has now started listing of households and mapping in the 11 cities of Arua, Fort Portal, Gulu, Hoima, Jinja, Lira, Mbale, Masaka, Mbarara, Soroti, and in the Greater Kampala comprising of Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono districts. For more information, please call 0755 342 128 or 0773 342 128. This message is brought to you by the Executive Director and Census Commissioner, Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Census 2024. It matters to be counted.
How to use the EIPP. Welcome to the Electronic Investors and Protection Portal, your guide to seamless investment processes in Uganda. Step 1. Navigate the portal. Start by searching Protection statehouseinvest.go.ug on Google. Use the menu bar for various tasks. Step 2. Submitting a complaint. To lodge a complaint, click Report. Fill out the form, submit and note your reference number. Step 3. Making an inquiry. For inquiries, select Inquiry. Complete the form, submit and record your reference number. Step 4. Whistleblowing. To report anonymously, choose Whistleblow, fill the form and submit. Step 5. Accessing FAQs. Find the answers to the common questions under the FAQs link. Step 6. Seeking information. For investment cycle guidance, hover over Resources, click Resources Center and explore. Step 7. Exploring services. Hover over Services for stakeholder offerings like business registration. Step 8. Tracking progress. To track submissions, click Report, select Track Inquiry or Complaint. Enter your reference number and check your email for updates. Need more help? Call +256 326 100 630 or email info@statehouseinvest.go.ug.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. Now, Uganda has in the recent past suffered and experienced a collapse of buildings before or shortly after completion. This has been attributed to poor architectural designs and substandard materials. This is the trend that visiting Chinese engineers want to change, with a sample of a house in Kololo belonging to fellow Chinese Zhong Shuang Quan being their point of entry.
It is a ride to Kololo, one of the posh suburbs of Kampala, Uganda's capital city. An access deep into the locality reveals a serene environment, a quiet atmosphere, and a welcoming arrangement. Sitting in the heart of it are already established and upcoming buildings. One of those upcoming is one belonging to Zhong Shuang Quan, a prominent Chinese businessman operating in Uganda. The multi-million-dollar residential building project has seen designs and redesigns of a structure worth the name.
稍微宽一点，完之后呢，后边我们到时候看一看需不需要。
Seen discussing the progress of the building is the owner, contractors, and the newly acquired designers. They recently flew into the country from China on a progress monitoring mission and actual adjustment quest.
实现它啊，这个你的任务很重的。
One of the issues featuring in their discussions is how the owner's dream will come into reality. It is indeed a dream, nearing its reality if the pace at which the work is progressing is anything to go by. It is so far so good, with the looks outside proving sparkling both night and day. This is the same progress that the architects from China want to see registered inside. The expertise being exhibited here is what will make the proprietor's dream come true. This is happening in a world where innovation is shaping cities and progress is building the future. It is said to be a team of brilliant minds thriving on pushing boundaries, bringing resourceful ideas to life that challenge conservative standards. The group of architects is composed of both men and women. Their vision is to see a world where architecture integrates effortlessly with technology. This is the change that these architects are bringing to Uganda, beginning with this Chinese-owned residence in Kololo.
Wonyala Michael Kidongo, the Chief Principal Director of Legacy Uganda Development Partner Africa Limited, calls upon the government of Uganda to support their umbrella organization of Farmers Fraternity in the names of Legacy Uganda Development Partner Africa Limited, aiming at addressing challenges faced by farmers. He raised this concern on Saturday in an interview with UBC TV, and we have a detailed report.
Whenever Mike says their group is coming up with measures of empowering farmers in communities by lobbying funds from all parts of the world.
We have already organized our farmers in terms of groups, cooperative societies, CBOs, small companies, because when we come together, we shall look forward to see that we get prospective marketing. We need at least a local man to realize his or her empowerment.
They also say that through the two educational systems called East African Vocation and Management Institute Uganda, in partnership with Nyerere Museveni for NASA International College, all farming families are going to be empowered.
We are looking forward to see that we meet His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, Mzee General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and we discuss salient issues of the two items, because we need to indicate that why Mzee Museveni went to the bush, the benefits and the causes, we are now implementers.
So we are reminding our state that it has come together and embrace this program and the project for the benefit of our communities in Eastern, in Northern and Central Uganda.
The country director, We Care for Humanity Uganda chapter, Bachima Joram, says they are to handle a lot of activities in different sectors like education and agriculture, among others.
That in agriculture, we are sticking much on agriculture because it is a backbone of our country. So therefore, we have formed, Queen has connected us to different investors, partners who can come in and invest in that. And not only that, but even in the government itself, she's ready. And she has a plan, of course, to meet His Excellency, the President, so that we see way forward for the bigger investment in the country.
Under this arrangement of Legacy Uganda Development Partners Africa Limited, we have sourced out our strategic partnership with We Care for Humanity, where we have achieved to have Her Majesty, the Queen from Philippines, of which is with supportive measures to see that a farmer comes off the vicious circle.
Robert Katamba, Kenneth Tanaba, UBC News.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
And in the world of sports, the visiting Federation of the International Gymnastics President, Morinari Watanabe, has landed Uganda for its intense plan to improve the sport by spreading it across the country, especially to the youth. John Ban-Sentamu has the details.
Uganda has completed the successful hosting of the Federation of International Gymnastics Executive Board meeting. It climaxed with an exhibition at the MTN Arena Lugogo. The occasion was graced by the Federation of International Gymnastics President Morinari Watanabe, who pledged support towards Uganda. During their stay in Uganda, the delegation of global gymnastics leaders deliberated with high-ranking sports administrators and visited several centers that Uganda intends to utilize as it grows the sport.
We've taken them to nearby schools and nearby clubs that are doing gymnastics. And then finally we climaxed with this festival. But believe me, they're not the same. They've been able to see the passion that Uganda has for gymnastics. They've been able to see the talent and above all the courage among the children. So moving forward, I have very good feedback for them, very good words of encouragement, and then I know that I have all their support. So the future of Uganda is bright in regards to the gymnastics sports.
In the interim, the association is also determined to meet the new sports law requirement of 50% coverage of the country, which they intend to achieve through collaborations.
They have pledged a lot of support, not only equipment-wise, but also pledged support in terms of the technical help, exchange programs that can help us grow even better and faster.
The delegates visited clubs like Mustafa Gymnastics Academy, Katakan Emil Sada, and also went to schools like Green Hill Academy.
What do you know? Just like all good things, the news tonight has come to an end. Thank you for being a lovely audience. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold. Thank you for watching UBC TV as we inspire, educate, and entertain you all day long. See you tomorrow. I'll be giving you the news then too.
Once again to our daily weather forecast from the National Meteorological Authority. I'm Jasper Ainebina. In the morning, some parts of the country received isolated thunder showers, while others sunny intervals prevailed. And for the satellite capture today, the rain belt is getting closer towards our country, and that's the reason why we are receiving light rains in different parts of the country. Let's have a look at how tomorrow it's likely to be. We are anticipating partly cloudy conditions across central region, and apart from Mubende, where light rains are expected. For the eastern parts of the country, partly cloudy conditions will prevail. And later, western parts of the country, still the same conditions, partly cloudy conditions will likely to prevail. Northern parts of the country, partly cloudy conditions will persist across. Later on in the afternoon, we are likely to have light rains across Kampala with a high of 28 degrees Celsius, and Nakasongola light rains expected 28 degrees Celsius. Western parts of the country, eastern parts of the country, we are anticipating light rains across the entire region with a high of 29 degrees Celsius and 27 degrees Celsius across Sauti. For the western parts of the country, chances of light rains are expected across with a high of 23 degrees Celsius across Kigezi Highland, and while in Masindi, 29 degrees Celsius are expected. For the northern parts of the country, we are anticipating light rains over the whole region with a high of 31 degrees Celsius that is likely to dominate the entire region. As we cross to the globe, Cairo is expected to have sunny intervals with a high of 24 degrees Celsius, while in Dubai, sunny intervals are expected with a high of 27 degrees Celsius, and in London, partly cloudy conditions are expected with a high of 09 degrees Celsius. Thank you so much for watching our daily weather forecast. For more information, you can always visit our website. Good evening.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.